Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, AI wasn't being used on the Army helicopter involved in a fatal crash near a DC airport. And state and local governments turn to talent matching programs with a possible wave of federal resignations. It's Friday, January 31st, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. The Army Black Hawk helicopter that fatally collided with an American Airlines passenger plane Wednesday night over the Potomac River near D.C. was not equipped with experimental autonomous flight capabilities, according to defense officials familiar with the ongoing federal investigation. There's said to be no survivors in the aftermath of the tragic crash, which happened around 9 p.m. local time on a notoriously highly congested flight path in the National Capital Region. The Army is closely supporting the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board-led investigation into the incident. In statements, press briefings, and one-on-one conversations Thursday, several defense officials shed new light on the mid-air collision. Their comments confirm that despite the Army's unfolding experimentation with AI and autonomous software, the helicopter involved was not equipped with or deploying any such systems. One of those officials, Jonathan Koziol, who serves as Chief of Staff at Headquarters Department of the Army Aviation Directorate, told DefenseScoop during a media call that it did not have any AI capability. He added, quote, "With any testing like that, with new systems, it'll be away from populated areas, just in case a tragic incident happens. We want to reduce the risk of impacting or hurting anyone else in and around that area. So we definitely wouldn't be testing that type of equipment in this area." In a positive bit of news this week, more than 200 state and local governments are using a new nonpartisan talent program called Civic Match that's connecting outgoing federal workers and campaign staff with new government jobs. The Civic Match program, which was launched in November by the workforce nonprofit Work for America, is a talent matching platform designed to help federal employees remain in public service, but at the state and local level. More than 1,200 outgoing federal workers and campaign staffers from both Democratic and Republican campaigns have signed up to use the platform, and 220 state and local government hiring managers are reviewing those candidates for placement in government, according to the program organizers. Caitlin Lewis, Work for America's executive director, said the timing of political campaigns ending after the November election and the presidential transition this month motivated the platform's launch. She said the transition ended jobs for 4,000 political appointees. And Lewis told State Scoop, quote, "In this moment of political transition, we saw a huge opportunity for the cities and states that we work with to capture the outgoing federal talent that not only can bring expertise about D.C., but also can help shepherd and implement some of the federally funded programs that are now in boots-on-the-ground implementation mode in places across the country." For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.